Hey friends, you're watching BrainStormAcres. I'm Henry. Been a long afternoon. So far I've checked the voltage for this diesel heater and it's just fine. Now one of the things that is worth knowing is that this diesel heater uses a microcontroller. That's a computer processor to control its operation. A lot of those systems are pretty picky when it gets to be low voltage, when the voltage drops too low for its operation. That's not happening here. I brought out my benchtop lab supply and tried powering it from that. I've measured it with the multimeter. There's no problems there. Now all this takes time. It takes longer than you might expect, but at least it's getting done. I've started the process of creating some schematics for this unit. I've contacted the manufacturer. Actually, I think that the company's actually not a manufacturer. I think they're probably just a reseller. So I've contacted them and asked if they have schematics because I do want to figure out how to get this thing running. I have a limited number of options. And one of the options I do have is I happen to have another wiring harness, a wire loom to connect this unit up. So I'm going to go ahead and start doing that. Everything else is checked, so might as well give that a shot. Now the power is all disconnected. I'm going to go outside and unplug the connector to the fuel pump. It's been a pretty nice day weather-wise. We've had a 10 or 15 mile an hour breeze going pretty much all day long. Funny thing is it actually happened last night as well, so it never really calmed down, never really slowed down. Just disconnecting all little bits and bobs from the wiring harness. This little 3-pin connector comes apart pretty nicely. There's a little tab that you press down here and then the mating plug slides right out very easily. And there's the same connector on the major connection to the heater. That's disconnected. I extended this ground wire by attaching another piece of wire to it, just so I could reach it, just so I could reach all the way to the battery, because the battery's not close to the heater exactly. You might hear the wind is kind of slapping the greenhouse around. That's what happens in northern Arizona. A lot of people will think, well, monsoons are over, so it's no big deal. There won't be much wind or rain or snow, and nothing could be further from the truth. Now I'm going to temporarily tape these wires all together because I want to keep track of which one is which. I have a separate wire harness here that is supposed to run the same unit, so I'll see how that works. I'm getting an error message that says the fuel pump is either shorted or open. Well, that's kind of wide open when it comes to what might be wrong. Okay, I have this harness here. I think I'll strip a little more wire off the end of this one. If you're stripping wire with a utility knife or a jackknife or anything like that, you want to be careful not to start cutting into the individual strands of the wire because they'll eventually break. That's not such a big deal for low power DC like this. DC, that's what comes from a battery. In your house, that's a bigger deal because all those little breaks in your house could turn into a potential fire. Yeah, I have that one done. Now all I have to do is make sure I have enough on the ground wire, which I do. I'm just temporarily connecting this up. I don't like wire nuts for this kind of setup, but for a quick test, this will work just fine. What a spaghetti pile. Now this is the connection to the fuel pump. I'll run that back out to the fuel pump itself, connect it up, and then come back in and finish hooking all of this up. I think I'm going to make that hole just a little bit bigger. I'll be filling in all these holes once I get this heater running with insulation and wind barriers. You can tell that this kit was designed for installation in a car or van or something like that because there's a very short ground wire in the harness. And if you think about it, when you're installing something like this in a car, it's no big deal because you always have some metal right there to connect up with. Now that's seated correctly. I'm just going to run outside and connect up the fuel pump. Now I need to go ahead and connect the battery up to this unit and we'll see what happens. But first I'm going to plug in the controller display. That is the actual unit that controls the operation of the heater. That's a nice click. Now so far I've replaced the fuel pump. I've just exchanged the wiring harness for a different wiring harness. We'll see if anything changes. I have another error code. Let's see what it is. Same error. Well, that means I need to take this all apart. I need to remove the case and gain access to that printed circuit board. In the meantime, I'm going to wait for Vivor to get back to me about schematic. I can check to see if there's a loose connection going to that printed circuit board that's inside the heater. It's going slow, one at a time. Hopefully we'll get it all knocked out tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications, because I'm going to be doing a lot more of this kind of stuff. Well, we'll be doing a lot more stuff in general. And don't forget to brainstorm. I have to here.